branded gifts for the holidays, birthdays, or just because. Visit us at www.thebreakstore.com. Hit the right black Get in Touch button.
Welcome to a new podcast show about stuff. It's the show about stuff, the Stephen Davis Show. Here's you host, Stephen Davis.
Hello. Yes, you're tuning into the very, very first episode of the show about stuff. It will be a show that talks about family history, the performing arts, art, books, places, music, and stuff. And here is my very first guest on this show. He is the Dean of the Black Theater, Woodie King Jr. And here he is, the great Woodie King Jr.
How you doing, Steve?
Good, how you doing?
All right, man, I'm all right.
Oh, how's this pandemic treating you?
It's okay, man. It's like staying at home, getting stir crazy, and that's the only thing, getting stir crazy for being at home. I go out maybe once a week, twice a week. I order food in, I don't, and my wife cooks, or it's not like I go out, and if it's cold out and I haven't driven my car, it's been in the garage, forever,
You mean that Rolls Royce?
Rolls Royce. Yeah.
Oh.
We wish.
So, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I said we wish.
Let's start from the very beginning. And I know that you've done lots of interviews saying the same thing over again. I was born in Alabama. As a matter of fact, I took time last night to view the interview that you did with Roscoe Brown way back on your 30th anniversary that you were all talking about. And that seemed to be the quintessential interview. He was very knowledgeable in terms of the questions he wanted to ask and get you forward.
Okay.
But so I'm going to try not to top that, but to add a little bit of flavor on to those who have seen that interview that maybe there are some things that they didn't know. And I want to start off by I had told you the other day that one of my greatest pleasures in life was a dinner that I had with you. And it was a dinner that we had with Amari Baraka, Cliff Frazier, and Douglas Turner Ward. And you all imparted so much knowledge at that particular dinner, particularly in terms of your interactions with some of the famous people in history. And the first one I want to ask you about is Lorraine Hansberry.
Okay. I never had any meetings at all with Lorraine Hansberry. I went to a lot of events, and I had read so much about her, starting with having first seen a touring version of A Raisin in the Sun in 1959 in Detroit at the Cass Theater, and meeting the actors and following them from the theater to the hotel, telling them how much I wanted to be in theater and how much I wanted to be involved and just be involved. And Robert Hooks sort of like befriended me. So thereafter, for several performances, I would be at the theater waiting. And he would talk about Lorraine Hansberry. And I think Lorraine Hansberry was very young, 28 or maybe 27 or something like that. And he would talk about this incredible woman who had written this play. I had already met Langston Hughes, of which A Raisin in the Sun was taken from one of his poems. What happens to a dream?
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or does it fester like a sore and then run? That's from one of Langston's poems. And I had read a lot of Langston Hughes, and I had met him when he came to Detroit, and they gave him the key to the city, but he never mentioned Lorraine. And so by meeting the cast of A Raisin in the Sun was really my first encounter with them. The meeting that we had, I think it was in a Harlem restaurant called Sylvia's.
Yeah.
And I remember whatever we had seen was at a place called the Dwyer Cultural Center. And that is owned by Cliff Frazier. And we had done something, or the Schomburg. We had done something at the Schomburg or the Dwyer.
No, it was over 124th Street.
Yeah. And yeah, okay. That was the Dwyer Cultural Center. And so we all said, where can we go? Because they was culturally involved in the community. They would not, you could not catch anybody in Harlem in those days saying, let's go downtown and eat. No, we're in the community. Let's eat here. Let's eat at Sylvia's. Let's eat blah, blah, blah here. And that's where we went. And over food, and I remember you were there with us, and it was like a wonderful evening. That's all what I really remember about it. And I remember that Cliff Frazier was getting ready to take over this Dwyer Cultural Center alone. He had been working with Boza Rivers, a Harlem Arts Alliance, and he was going to take it over alone. And that's what I remember about it. Amiri, and it's pronounced Amiri. Amiri Baraka. I don't know why he was there. It wasn't one of his plays that had been done there.
But he was at the theater that night.
Oh, he was just there. Okay.
Yes, he was there along with Douglas. And if I can remember correctly, you introduced them to the crowd.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was a vehicle that Ossie Davis, Louis D was starring in for you.
Oh, okay. You know, people came out to see Ossie and Ruby, and I was probably producing it.
Yeah. Well, it was actually after Ossie died. Because Ossie wasn't there.
Okay.
Or maybe he was. You know, this is tough getting old, isn't it?
Yeah. I only did one thing, but Ruby only did a couple of poetry readings after Ossie had died. You know that, right? She didn't do a lot.
Yes, I do. But I just remember that it was such a great evening. But what sort of leads me back to something that you were saying earlier. How was it meeting Langston Hughes? I mean, these are people that we talk about in history, and the history is that you are the bridge in between some of those great people that you've met, and we now read in the books. How was he as a person?
Okay, well, Langston was brought to Detroit and given the key to the city. And of course, being, I think, 18 years old, and Ron Milner and I was a member of something called Boone House, a poetry center. And a poet named Margaret Danner, who knew Langston from she was an older poet who knew him. She called us and told us, and we flocked to Boone House. And then thereafter, we went to his hotel room at the Park Shelton Hotel. Park Shelton.
For 18-year-old.
Oh man, I'm telling you, Steve, it was amazing, man. We were meeting people, and you gotta say, back in those days, the library and the Art Institute of Detroit was probably more filled with Black culture than any in the country. And so we had been inculcated with the culture. And immediately next door to the Detroit Public Library was something called the Azalea Hackley Collection of Black works and Black literature and Black culture. And so for the last 3 or 4 years, when I was maybe 18, the librarian would call me and say, we got a new book in by Langston. We got this in. And so we couldn't afford it. We'd go there and read it. We'd go there and read it, you know? And so when Margaret Danner invited us to the Boone House, and Langston told us where he was living, thereafter, we went to the Park Shelton Hotel to his room. Oh, and wow. He said he was very unassuming, very casual, very cool about everything. And he said, oh man, he looked at the key. He said, I wish they'd give me the money for all this. And that was laughter. It was laughter. Because then, wait a minute, this guy's very real. And he's as real as his simple characters. He's as real as his poetry. It was some reason we related to his work. But he did not mention Lorraine Hansberry at all. And I told him how much I loved his work. And if I ever got to New York, I wanted to adapt his work. He said, you got anything? I said, yeah, I got short stories. And he said, send them to me. And Ron Milner and I sent him short stories. And there's a big book edited by Langston Hughes called Best Short Stories in America. I got a short story in there when I was 20 years old, published by Langston Hughes. You could not tell me anything. So when I walked into New York, I was a published writer, fiction, and I was working on an adaptation of his The Weary Blues, a poem by him called The Weary Blues, and another poem by him called Simple's Blues. I did The Weary Blues at Lincoln Center Library for the Performing Arts. That was a precursor of the Negro Ensemble Company. And I used all these young, brilliant actors, and they ended up members of the Negro Ensemble Company. So that's that story.
I have a surprise for you.
Huh?
Okay. I decided that I wanted to have you with some guests.
Okay.
Guests who knew you.
Okay.
Who you all could talk about and reminisce over. Okay. And here they're coming into this. Now you know
Ted Lange.
Right?
Hey, what's happening?
Oh, Ted Lange.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, sir? Did you get your money?
Doing? Huh?
Did you get your money?
Oh, yes, I meant to send you a note. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I got my money, man. Thank you.
Starletta
And who's the second person?
Hi.
Oh, man.
Hi there, Woodie King.
These are two of my favorite people. You know, Starletta did some brilliant plays at the New Federal. And she was in our first major hit in New York, What the Wine Sellers Buy.
When I talked with her last night, she told me that very play.
Yeah.
By the time a fool learns the game, the players have dispersed.
Oh,
we do this.
And Ted Lange, I guess he'll tell you, but Ted Lange is with three guys. It's three of them. And these guys, they would have me laughing. We used to go to a bar in New York, and I forgot that bar. We was me, Ted Lange, and Glenn Turman, and Art Evans. And they would call themselves this, that, and the other.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I remember that bar. I remember that bar.
I remember it was on Amsterdam Avenue.
Yeah, man.
Not
And I
the
remember-
cellar.
Don't you remember, Ted, that I don't know if it was you or it was no room for Denzel with our table.
Oh, yes. Yes. And Fishburne came in that night too.
Yeah. Look Fishburne,
Yeah. Fishburne came in and I was giving him marriage advice. Because he and I were both going through the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember that. He's now Lawrence. He's not Larry anymore.
Not Larry.
No.
Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne. That's right.
And maybe if he was in England, he'd be Sir Larry.
Yeah, well, he is Sir Larry in my book.
Yeah.
You know, he don't even have to go to England.
I
How's
saw him
everything
on
out in
something last
California?
night.
You saw him on what?
I saw him on something. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, man.
What, Blackish?
No.
Something
This
else.
was a drama.
John Wick.
Yeah, John Wick.
John Wick.
John Wick. But he was the guy, he gave the guy a gun and said, go out and use it.
Yeah.
How's everything out in California?
Oh man, I love it. It's great. And you know, with technology, with this Zoom thing now, you don't have to leave. I just directed Satchmo at the Waldorf. You know that play, Woody?
Yes.
I just directed Satchmo at the Waldorf with L. Peter Callender. You remember L. Peter Callender?
Yeah, man. Woo.
He is brilliant in this part. And we did it. We shot it for a theater in Florida. He was in Florida. I was here in LA. And we used two cameras. And I would go on Zoom and I would look through the lens of the camera. And I would make the shots looking through the camera lens.
Wow.
It was amazing. It's going to
Now,
premiere February 19th.
Has moved us forward, hasn't it?
Yeah. There's a whole thing. I mean, if you can imagine now, I mean, because we can't be in a theater anymore for a while, but you can do stuff, stream stuff now.
Mm-hmm.
But Ted, you had done so many episodes of regular television. Television.
I shot 60 episodes for Byron Allen.
Yeah.
Oh,
This was something else. You had done a lot of episodes for.
What, of Love Boat?
I did.
Shooting. Oh, as a director.
As a director, yeah.
Also, I did when I was doing when the chickens come home to roost, I was doing the thing up there, which you helped me with. Are we there yet? With
okay.
Ali.
Yeah, that's
Ali Leroy.
Yeah.
Now you're doing Starletta.
I'm doing wonderful. There's been so many positive things that have happened as a result with the new technology. Belma Michael Johnson, we just finished a documentary called I Love Who You Are, about amazing Black women and men, and a tribute to Zeta Phi Beta sorority. And it's amazing because right here in your home, I'm getting ready to do another piece called My Kind, dealing with this racist man that my grandson saved from death, literally pulled him out of a car, blazing car, and now he's calling everybody niggas in the hospital. So when I read this stuff, when I was reading the first part, oh Gamma is so nice, trying to decide if she Caribbean or not. By the time I got to the end, and it's my daughter who's the doctor that's trying to help him, and he's calling her all sorts of niggas and get away. Oh, but they give me a tag on the end. Tell this boy in love.
All right.
Listen, those days are over, sugar, okay? This is a new day.
Yeah.
And you better thank God my grandson had done mouth-to-mouth recitation on him. And he's, honey, you would be dead in your grave on your way to hell if he had not, saved you. So it's wonderful because we can still artistically do wonderful things. And with the new technology, all of this is possible. That one I will have to go out because we do have to, I have to be at a hospital and have to, wherever the location is for my house. So, but it's lovely.
But
It's
Starletta,
lovely.
tell the audience some of the stuff that you've done in the past, because you've been around for such a long time. Well, all of y'all been around for such a long time.
Well,
Hey, wait a minute,
say
Steve.
amen.
You're making me feel like a young man, leaving me out of that. I'm happy.
No, you in this. Well, one of the pieces I did was a play of Ted's, Osborne P. Anderson.
Yeah, I wrote that for you. I wrote that part.
Yes.
For you.
Fantastic. I got the two people did it together.
And
Yes.
Stephen, she was brilliant. She had a scene at the end of that play. Starletta was brilliant when she finds out about the death of her son at Harper's Ferry. Starletta, baby, my heart, I'm telling you, captured my heart every performance. It made me cry.
Tell me about you all's interaction with Woody.
Well,
it's an interview about Woody and for Woody. Tell us about your interaction, some funny stuff.
Oh, wow. Well, one of the most beautiful things, and Woody just alluded to it, in terms of us doing awesome plays at Henry Street and New Federal with Dick Anthony Williams, and all sorts of other wonderful pieces of work, ensemble pieces, and then going to do What the Wine Cellars Buy there, and then taking it uptown to Broadway at Lincoln Center, uptown Broadway, and going on the road with it. And we were on the road almost a year. And that was so amazing because all of us were just freshly getting started and honing our craft, because I wasn't a theater major undergrad. So I'm grateful to Woody, him and Dick and Hal DeWitt and other wonderful people and great directors all through my career that have helped me just to find out what was initially a gift and to hone that gift and to be able to, do all these wonderful plays and then starting to do TV and film. And it came as a result when we did Ed Bullens's house party at the American Place. The people from The Gambler and Death Wish. And I tell young students, young people, do theater. People come to see you. You may get an agent. You may get opportunities to audition for pieces in terms of TV and film because they've seen your work. And that was the best thing that could have happened to me. I have a story also that Cicely Tyson had with that guy, Paul Mann, back in the day. I used to take a train over from Philadelphia to New York to study. And the experience wasn't great. So it ran me to New Lafayette Theater. It ran me to Henry Street, where I could be around my family to help me, to teach me to grow. I didn't know upstage from downstage, from left to right, and everybody, just if they had to navigate, which sometimes we as actors now, when we see a blank stare in an actor's eye and they don't know what to say on stage or what to do, that's why you need to know your lines and everybody else's to help.
Hey, Woody, what was that thing that you did after 9/11 with all of the readings? What was that called?
Taking Back Our City.
Taking Back Our City. Okay, Stephen. Woodie King did this thing. It was like to heal the city after 9/11. Okay. And he had all of these plays. How many playwrights did you have, Woody?
Oh man, about 10.
10 playwrights. I was one of them.
Yes, yes.
And so Woody said, Ted, we're going to read this play of yours. And it was called One Righteous White Boy.
White
Remember that, Woody?
Yes.
One Righteous White Boy.
Excellent play, excellent play. Go ahead.
Yeah, and fun because we're talking about Denzel and Morgan throughout the whole play. And then they show up at the end of the play just as the lights go out. But it was called One Righteous White Boy because that's all you need if you're a Black actor in show business. Mm-hmm. All you need is one righteous white boy. You don't want one hip white boy because a hip white boy will call you a nigga faster than a brother will.
Wow.
But you need, if you can find one righteous white boy, you can have a career in show business. And we did the reading at Woody's Theater, and we had a lively discussion. You remember that? We had a lively
discussion
at the end of the play. It was fun.
Yeah.
Woody?
Yes.
Talk about your experience with those two.
Well, it's
I know
like
you said some things earlier, but there must be a funny story or something that happened during that particular time that you remember.
No. I just remember Starletta was a brilliant, fine, and shapely woman. And
okay.
And all
the guys really wanted to hit on her, but she was so fine. They said, well, and so serious about her work, we better leave her alone. And sure enough, we go on tour, and all Taria and Debbie Morgan and all of them gets pregnant, not Starletta. And the fun with Ted Lange, and who was just on my 50th anniversary celebration.
Yeah.
And
I told him about that. Yeah.
And Glenn Turman and Art Evans is like, if I came to LA and we went down to Leimert Park, we had a ball. We were just, and they came to any one of them came to New York, we'll hook up. Yeah. And I eventually hired Art Evans' wife to be our producer of Checkmates in LA.
Right.
And so it's like it's a small world. And but funny, we were all business. We were all about the art. We talked about the art. We talked about and I think Ted Lange was you were in a hit show, man. You were in a hit show. Yeah. And so it was like everybody was just there, and people come in, get your autograph. But
yeah,
it was that time. But it was like we were in the company of royalty, and Art Evans, I think right after he did a Soldier's Play, and I think he got nominated. Didn't he get nominated for that?
I'm not sure if he got nominated, but I know that Art, he's got his own special curveball that he throws on a part, and he certainly did in a Soldier's Play.
Oh man, you're bringing these up, man, and like being an old guy like me,
you old?
Shit I remember and shit I don't remember, but those things are indelibly etched in my mind. Starletta, I know you don't remember Debbie Morgan.
Yeah.
Terry Taylor.
Yeah.
Okay. And they were on the Wine Cellars with us on tour.
Yeah. And Anderson's girlfriend.
Ramona King?
Regina, Ramona King, yeah.
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 So you did that play at New Federal. If you go at the New Federal Theater's website, you will see they say, oh, there's Starletta. There's Starletta. Well, she did a play in 1992. She did a play, yeah.
But they all came through you, Woody.
That's right.
Everybody came through you, starting with Denzel.
All of them. Samuel L. Jackson.
Kirk Kirksey.
Kirk Kirksey.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't.
I worked with Kirk Kirksey in San Francisco. We did Big Time Buck White.
Yeah, oh
Whoa.
man, you were rubber band.
No, Charles Weldon was rubber band.
Yeah,
I was
what you call was rubber band.
I was a character named Weasel, and for the next 10 years, Charles Weldon always called me Weasel. And finally, I had to say, I said, Charles, my name is Ted. Oh yeah, I keep getting you confused with the guy that you play. So, but Kirk Kirksey was an extraordinary actor.
Yes.
Character. He was a character. Mm-hmm. And one time, I met Ben Vereen through Kirk Kirksey. And I was in Los Angeles. I called up Kirk and I said, I'm down here from San Francisco and I'm trying to find out how to get things going. And Kirk says, well, Ted, I'm going to see Hair. You want to come with me? You'll meet some other actors. I said, yeah, sure. So I go with Kirk to see Hair, sitting in the theater. He said, let's go backstage. Ben Vereen was the star of the show. Ben Vereen was he was so good, he was playing the white part, Burger. So we go backstage to meet Ben Vereen, and Kirk puts his arm through my arm like I'm his date.
Oh, stop.
So he goes, so he says, Ben, I'd like you to meet Ted.
Right.
So, now, I never said anything to Ben about being straight, you know, and Ben never said anything to me about, are you straight? But that's how I met Ben Vereen. And Kirk, so he was a character. He was really, really, truly a character.
Yeah. All those guys, man, all those guys, they were just wonderful. And so someone asked me about LGBT at our theater. I said, you don't want me to go through and tell you people's secrets.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
We just loved each other as artists.
Yeah. It wasn't
people tripping today. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. What is the difference between that time and the time now?
Family. We were a family. We were a huge family. Sheila and I are going to talk to you at some point. We fed each other. We didn't even realize we were struggling. You know what I mean? Whatever that word's supposed to mean. It's just, if I had it, I'm going to share with you.
Yeah. That was a different mentality though, Starletta.
Yes.
That was a different mentality. I think some of the stand-ups have it now, like Eddie Murphy and Arsenio and Kevin Hart. Those guys will look out for each other now. Some of them won't, but some of them will. But for us as actors, I remember going to auditions, man, and these guys were rough. And so that's how I made the alliance with Glenn Turman and Art Evans, is we decided to look out for each other. And I remember being hired to direct the Wayans Brothers television show, and Glenn had already directed one. And so I said, Glenn, I got to talk to you, man. I'm getting ready to go over here. So we went out to Jerry's Deli in Los Angeles.
Oh, yeah.
And we met, and he said, look, here's what you got to watch out for. This guy's a cool guy. This guy's not a cool guy. You know what I mean? He gave me the lay of the land so that when I walked through the door, I knew what the heck was going on.
I guess we won't find out who was cool guy and who wasn't the cool guy, huh?
I'll tell you who the cool one was, but I won't tell you who the other guy.
Also, we would tell each other about auditions. I can't get your role. What has my name on it? I'm going to do. So we would tell each other, well, do you know so-and-so and so-and-so and so is happening? One of us get it, we're happy.
Book of Numbers.
California is a different animal.
I went up for Book of Numbers and I knew I didn't get it. And I called up Philip Michael Thomas. And I said, hey, man, I think this part suits you. I know I'm not going to get it. It just doesn't. And Philip went in there, got the role. Raymond St. Jacques was producing and directed. And that's what we did for each other back in those days. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's on the horizon for you all?
Well, I'm going to New York to see Woody as soon as this Corona thing settles down, so he could buy me dinner.
But shucks, I might as well get on a plane myself
Yeah.
and meet there on 42nd Street,
Hey.
where our spot, our spot or somewhere.
Go to Henry's or West Bank Cafe. What's your
West
favorite
Bank.
hangout, Woody?
Yeah,
Is West Bank still open?
Yeah, West Bank is still open.
Okay.
yeah,
And,
they're doing takeout. What's your spot, Woody? That you
Sylvia.
like the best?
I haven't been out of the house since the pandemic.
Well,
You know, a lot of
when
these
it's
places
finished,
closed.
when we can go.
Oh, Florida Mill.
Okay,
All right.
Ted, you heard that?
Yeah, man.
Now, where did you say it was?
We are promoting restaurants, are we?
No,
Yeah.
we promote what you like to do.
Say that again.
I
Florida.
said we're promoting what Woody likes, but so yeah, I just there are things that I shot in 2019 that's coming out now as a result of COVID. Magic Max is out, but some other two or three other projects will be coming out.
Is it on Netflix or is it in the movie theaters or TV?
It's in the movie theaters, but it's also on YouTube. Magic Max you can pay. I just saw that online. You can pay or rent to see it. And then Charming the Hearts of Men, where this lady got a congressman to put women in the Civil Rights Bill in 1963. And when they were putting that bill together, with President Johnson and Dr. King, they weren't including women initially. We've come a long way.
Yeah.
So some things, projects like that, I'm just looking forward to what is next. Definitely looking forward to coming back to New York and spending time with the family there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a change in the paradigm shift of a lot of businesses. The new normal has not settled in yet, but it's coming, something. So how do you think theater is going to change when it gets back open?
Oh my God, that's a good one.
Well, that's a Woodie King question.
Yes, it is.
It's not going to change. It's going to go back to what it was. It's going to go back to where it was. That's what they're dying for now. That's what they are. I mean, when you say change, I mean, will the plays be different? Will the artistic input be different? Will the actors be different? No, they're going to get seasoned actors. It's always seasoned actors. It's always seasoned directors. It's not going to change. They're going to try and fill the theater. Broadway's trying to fill the theater. And off Broadway, we are going to be very particular about producing plays with 5-6 characters. It's not going to change. You still got to pay for what you get. And you got to pay the directors. You got to pay the actors. You got to pay pension and welfare. You got to pay, and you cannot avoid that. You got to make it a part of what it's all about. So it's not going to change. Now, will a lot of writers try and write a shit that happened during the pandemic that's funny? But I'm in the pandemic. You can't write some funny pandemic stuff from England where they're from a city or wherever, but the pandemic is all over the world. And you got to go deep. You got to go deep now. You can't do surface stuff. Like when we did our plays, we went deep. Ed Bullins went deep. Ted Lange went deep.
Ooh.
These writers don't go surface, and they don't talk surface. You got to be very careful about a Hollywood sell and a deep conversation. I don't think and Ted can correct me if I'm wrong, when we used to sit in those restaurants, we may not even mention Hollywood. You gotta talk about deep. You gotta get deep, and you gotta talk about the work of Jimmy Baldwin, The Fire Next Time. You gotta talk about Ralph Ellison. You gotta talk about Toni Morrison. You gotta talk about Adrian Kennedy. You gotta talk about deep work. And if you can't talk about that, these are not the people you should be with. And
yeah, that's true.
You know?
Yeah.
But I looked, and part of the reason for the question in that manner is that you just take, for example, going to restaurants that you couldn't go to anymore, and you're used to now Zooming it. I'm sorry, Seamless or Grubhub. You're used to now having your food delivered. Some will go back to the restaurants, but the question is how much of those online delivery services are going to keep as part of their base.
Well,
So
I haven't found any of those Grubhubs or all those delivery services being as good as sitting down in the restaurant with a friend, ordering 3 or 4 from 3 or 4 different menus what you want.
Exactly. Yeah.
I agree with you, but there are going to be some people that did go out to restaurants and not going to go back out anymore for whatever varying reasons that they might do so. So I was just asking the question in terms of how, in terms of Broadway, in terms of getting, are the audiences going to come right back, or is it going to take a time to do so?
Well, I think that goes to his question of deep. You know, I mean, you're talking about artists, and artists are social. You know, so we like the congregation of talent in a room, and we like the exchange of ideas. So maybe straight guys and girls are not going to be so hip to go back, but artists need that interchange, man. We need that you know, bouncing off of each other and exploring an idea and peeling away to get to the heart of the matter. And that's what Woody and Glenn and I would do when we'd sit up in a restaurant, you know, figuring out where we wanted to go on the next thing. That's exactly what we did. So, I mean, like I'm telling you, whenever I came through New York, one of my first calls was Woodie King Jr. And I said, hey, man, what's happening? He said, Ted, why don't you go over to so I'll be there. Everybody else will be, you know.
Yeah,
so I would go over there, you know.
Because one thing with living here in California, I mean, there is theater here, but we know when we go back home or we go back to New York that there's a plethora of plays to see. And I mean, I remember the last time I was there was November, when the adult goes, November of 2019. Well, I got a chance to see, not only to be there at the Adelcos, Woody got awesome award, and Barbara Montgomery and wonderful people, but I got a chance to see Broadway plays that were there, at least 3 or 4 plays. So when we go in, it's like, okay, we need the whole filled. And so we are able to have that. And of course, calling Woody, we'll always know what's going on and where we can meet up, because we're observers as well. So anywhere we are, that's just naturally for us to be observers, because at some point or the other, what we've seen, we can incorporate in our work at some point. So.
All right. One last question I want to ask you all is just a personal one in terms of what I want to know. What does it feel like for each of you to have a hit on your hand? Have something that public have accepted? How does it feel to you personally? I mean, everybody thinks about the money, but I'm talking about your personal feelings in getting to that conclusion.
Well, I'll tell you, it's a sort of a vindication when people tell you to choose another business. You know, you say,
get a real job.
Yeah, man. And if you happen to get a hit, then your road has been vindicated. And I remember when I was in Oakland, California, they said, you'll never make it. There's 100,000 actors out there going for one part. Now, what they neglected to tell me was that 500 out of that 1,000 couldn't act. And then there's another 150 that were just starting out and didn't have their, chops together. So you got that. Then you got another section that didn't fit the part. Then you got, and what happens is, I remember finding myself sitting on the bench outside of an audition with the same actors. It'd be Cleabert Ford, it'd be Joe Fields, it would be the same guys, and we're all going up for the same part. And so what happens is, you're not up against 500 actors, you're up against 10, because there's a lot of factors that go into it, and when you actually then get a hit, you have vindicated your journey, that you've achieved some kind of success. And I don't mean just monetarily, I'm just talking as an artist, yes, as someone that has found their craft and that wants to make a career in show business. That's the real beauty of this, is that you can actually have a career, and then you start to see the same faces. You start to sit in the restaurants with the same people that have been on the journey, and they become family and friends.
Yes,
I mean, that's, Starletta, like I would see Starletta all the time, and I want to write a part for her. And then the day came when I had a project that fit her perfectly, and I tailored it for her. And she became the den mother of the production. You remember that, Starletta?
That's right. Yeah, I will feed folk in a minute. Yeah, I'm the caregiver. But let me say this in terms of vindication. Wine cellars spoiled me, just straight out, because you do it in a workshop, you go uptown and do it, you go on the road. Okay, so that's what made me know that this was what I was given to do, finding your purpose and your reason for existing too. Then I was blessed to do The Mighty Gents, Richard Wesley's play. And a play that had great reviews at the Kennedy Center. We come back to Broadway. I think we were open 10 days. But Ed Bullins told me, you're going to get nominated for a Tony. I said, no, this is my first time, second time out, whatever. And it was true. Morgan Freeman and I. Validation again. So no matter what would happen going forward, when people would ask me to get, when am I going to get a real job? I just say I have one. And if we manage, do our W-2s, it all works out. And I'm so blessed to know that I dared to dream this dream, as we all have, and that with the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune along the way and different choices we would make, people telling me, if you go home to take care of your father 2 years, you can forget about it, a career. And God said no. And it's always for us about the work. The money will come. We always have enough to take care and do what we need to, and also to be a blessing to someone else. So, yeah, it's glorious. No regrets. I didn't get into it for fame and fortune. I got into it that I would leave a body of work that you all would respect.
When I was in New York and I was running the streets, and I had a little good fortune, and I'd take a girl out on a date, and she knew I was an actress. I mean, she knew I was an actor. She was an actress or something. And she said, let's go Dutch. And I say, no, I'm paying for this because I got some money. But one day I may need you to buy me dinner or to fix me lunch. And so I had all these different actors. I had a list of actresses that I could go to when I needed a meal.
Yeah.
Because I said, remember when we didn't go Dutch? And they go, yeah. I said, I need a meal. You know? So they would say, okay, well, come on over to my apartment and so, you know. But that's what I did. So I collected all of these little payback things here, you know.
Tab for later.
But yeah, save that one for later.
Yeah.
You know?
So Woody, you have an even wider catch in terms of the amount of people that you have helped in terms of their careers, the successes in terms that you've had in terms of different plays. Because when I told you before that I was watching last night the tape of with you and Roscoe Brown, and part of what you said was from 1970 to 1980, you had a hit every year.
Yes.
So particularly on that first one, when you had that first hit, how did you feel?
Because you win a lot of awards. You win a lot of awards and accolades and a lot of press and a lot of interviews, and they do not treat you badly. They treat you. You go into for the interview. They have if it's a restaurant, they'll have coffee, tea, and whatever you want to eat. If you do it in their office, you know, it's like there's respect for you.
Yes.
There's a different kind of respect if you win the Drama Critics Circle Award. There's a respect for you if you win an Obie. You know, it's a respect that and what you say, damn, he knows what he's talking about. It doesn't matter that you got 2 degrees and 5 or 6 honorary doctorate. It doesn't matter that you graduated drama school, but they don't know that. They have a respect for what you are saying and what you've done because of the awards and because of the theater being packed every night, you know, and people standing up cheering. And you can stand at the, and there's something when you can stand up at the back of New Federal Theater at Henry Street and say, oh man, Black girl,
Woo!
I made this happen.
Yes.
Or daddy, I made this happen.
Yes.
You know, that's it doesn't have anything to do with money. Okay, I didn't get in it for money. I got into it because it was where I was led, and I love Black people. And you can say whatever you want to. I got in this argument last night with this brother about he's at the university and he sends all these people into New York. I said, but Don, have you sent anybody to me? No, but she did Miss Saigon. I don't give a fuck about Miss Saigon. I'm talking about you sent some Black people to me. No, he didn't. Because that is what it has evolved into. I didn't get into this for to send 2 or 3 dozen white people to Broadway. You know, I got into it because I want to see Starletta make it. I want to see Alfie Woodard make it. I want to see Entezaki make it. I want to see R. Scott make it. I want to see Gilbert Moses make it. I want to see Starletta DuPois make it. You know, now if somebody else comes along, I want to see Morgan, Denzel, and Chadwick Boseman. You know, somebody else will come along after I've done it and say, oh man, I've discovered, look at Morgan's palatial mansion. I don't give a fuck about his palatial mansion. That's not going, who is he bringing along into it? If you used to go to Morgan's office, you might see one, no Black people. That's not why we sweated to get him all those roles and all those sweats, and when he was playing
Venus and all of those.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking what I'm doing. I mean, Joe Papp would say, Woody, I like Mondongo. I want to do it. I will do it, but you guys got to bring on my apprentice, Michael Bennett. Okay, the director and choreographer said, nah, we're going to pass on that because we think we got a show, and he'll do it. And the Hispanic writer said, no, we're going to change the title. And so Joe Pat would say, well, I'm going to pass on it too. But that doesn't stop me from working with the two artists who put it together, because I love Black people. And I know they were ego driven. They had to have the satisfaction of the creation to get Joseph Papp to come down and see it. But that's not why he came down to see it. He came down to see it because I went to his office and asked him.
See?
And I had gotten his respect.
Yes.
Not because they had gone to his office and get him. And if he says, I want to bring in Michael Bennett, he's not going to say, I want to bring in Joe Smo. He brought in one of the best choreographers ever lived, just to help. You know, those are the kind of things that we have to really be aware of. You know, Starletta, you mentioned a couple of times, we moved to Lincoln Center because Joseph Papp was running Lincoln Center.
Yep.
You know, we went to the American Place because when Handman was running.
Right.
These are people who were close to me and Lloyd Richards.
Yes.
Okay. And we had gotten their respect because of our work and our scholarship and our and shit like that. And you know, I was going, he can't come and say, I'm gonna let Starletta go. No, this is the package. I'm not interested in his opinion because the package is going to work. Otherwise, I wouldn't come to you.
Wow.
Or Mo Septi in Philly.
Oh, right. Yes.
I'm not going to come to you with, like you wouldn't, well, you know what I mean.
Let it out. Let it out.
No, it's not letting it out. It's like having a thorough knowledge of who you are. It's about identity. You either know who you are or you don't know who you are.
Exactly.
And if you don't know who you are, Hollywood will fuck you up. They will mess your head up.
I can testify to that, brother.
Yeah, man.
Let me just say the Inner City Cultural Center
yes
saved my life after the show went down.
Yes.
And I was doing plays all along the time I was on television down at Inner City. But then when the thing ended on television, you know, they kind of like slapped me around. But I was down at Inner City still being able to do my art because of like Woodie King and C. Bernard Jackson, you know.
Gloria Calamay and
yeah, so we grew up under a different thing so that now some other guys come along, they don't feel the same responsibility to the culture as we did growing up because we were denied and lacked access. So we made our own access.
Right.
You know, and that was New Federal Theater on the East Coast, Inner City on the West Coast.
Yeah.
You know?
And Stephen, I can say this. While I was at UCLA, which people told me was ridiculous for me to go back to school since I was already working professionally. I said, I'm gonna do this for the rest of my life. Why wouldn't I want to learn and be exposed to whatever? But while I was there, there was a monologue competition at Inner City, and I was able to do the monologue from Mighty Gents, Rita's monologue, and won. And Ted Lange blessed us, the participants, with money, which I ended up paying rent. Marla Gibbs gave us, we could go and take classes or even teach classes at her studio, which I did one time for Ed Cambridge, but also to go to her supper club. So again, on the West Coast, Inner City was here. Ted used his gifts and was blessing those of us coming along to make it easier to navigate this place called Hollywood. And I'll be forever grateful.
Yeah, you know, I did a thing called the Ira Aldridge
competition.
Acting competition. And the deal was I would give you $1,000. It was yours to do with whatever you wanted. But also I would bring in TV directors, casting directors, and agents, so that if you didn't get the $1,000, you were seen by someone that could help you maybe get a job somewhere else later on down the line. Anyway, I thank you. I gotta go. I got another meeting that I have to be to. I was so happy I could be a part of this and give my props to Woodie King Jr. because Woodie King Jr. is the man.
Is the man, yeah.
Yes, he is. He is the man. Yes. I'll see you guys later.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you so much.
So you can see, Stephen, this how deep the roots go of this tree that we would say Woodie King Jr. and how the branches are now worldwide in terms of us learning who we were. And yes, what we would have from people is to respect us and our work. And those were the things that we were taught so that we could go forward and that we would be able to navigate through our lives and to still be in this business doing what we love. And we got the grounding with Woodie.
Great, great. Well, one of the things that two of the things that I want to say is that one of the things that I am most impressed by, Woodie, is on your resume, you talk about when you went back to for your master's. And at that point, you were already the man, but you felt it necessary to go back for whatever the reason is. And it fits right within the theme of this podcast, and that is that it is progress despite obstacles. And you have been the man to show that you still can win even though there are obstacles in front of you. And we appreciate so much what you've done for our community, for the world. I mean, you've shown that constantly over your life, and I do appreciate so much that you being the first person. You're the first person I thought of to do a podcast with. And believe me, it took a lot to decide to do a podcast because I had to think, do I want to do this every week? But even if I do no more, I feel that I have contributed to society by letting them know where you came from.
And Woodie and Joe Papp did letters, reference letters for me to do my MFA at UCLA.
And that's what it's all about. How you can reach out and help people.
Yes. Thank you, Woodie. We
got to make a living, but we still have to help people.
Of course.
Our people. And
you're not taking it to the grave. No, seriously. And why wouldn't we be a blessing?
Steve and I talk. We talk a lot. You think we're talking a lot now on the podcast, but we meet and talk a lot. So there'd be different things we're working on. I've never asked him to be on our board of directors. I might have, but it is about a wider culture. And I think, Steve, you are right in getting a podcast. If you can get some sponsors, it can be very, very lucrative. If you can't, it's going to be all work. But
the part about putting in a podcast up, I never thought about how much money it could make. Hey, I'm paying the money out to do this, and it's for me to be able to capture on film and on audio a person of your stature is rewarded. It's a reward enough for me, because I'm going to eat at night, and I have a place to sleep. So those are the two things that you most need to eat and sleep.
Yeah. But people,
Yeah,
and that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes.
And he just threw a gem out to you. So, you will see as you do this that there will be people that will be interested in being a blessing to you as you bless somebody else.
I thank you all so much for being on the first episode of the show about stuff. The Stephen Davis Show. And I will, at the end of this podcast, I'll put up some information about the New Federal Theater in terms of being able to reach. And for those people that are listening, contribute. They need, everybody needs money. And I want you to go forward and go to the website. It'll be up at the end of this show so that you can contribute to the New Federal Theater.
Okay. When will they look at this?
I will have this up. Actually, I didn't want to say this during the show because I wanted to run it through, but I will say it anyway. I plan on editing it and putting the different aspects of the show together over the weekend so that it comes out during Black History Month sometime next week.
Okay, we'll have the meeting between Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. It'll be on next Saturday, the 20th. The 27th, we'll have widows on our Facebook. Okay. And then our Women's History Month, we have hospice, the 6th. We have Black Girl, the 13th and the 20th. So we have things on. Let's go to our website, www.newfederaltheater.com.
You can see it now?
Yes, you can.
That's it.
See?
Wow, look at that. That's awesome.
And this is the address for the New Federal Theater although the address doesn't mean too much now that the pandemic is here, but here is it, and there is a donation where you can donate to the New Federal Theater. Again, okay. I thank you all so much for being on the show, and this is where we take our leave. Thank you all so much for being on the show.
Thank you. Right. Bye-bye.
I'm sorry.
Woodie, I'm gonna call you. I got it.
Okay.
Okay, so take it easy, and I will talk to you later on.
Okay, and we'll go through the facts.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for tuning in this week. Hope you enjoyed this show about stuff. See you next time.
Branded gifts for the holidays, birthdays, or just because. Visit us at www.thebreakstore.com. Hit the right black Get in Touch button. Visit the New Federal Theater's website at www.newfederaltheater.com to see upcoming performances and to donate today.